Ah, ah, ah. Tas, hello. Hi, Seno. Welcome. Yes, welcome to this pretty scarf. Uh, pretty scarf introduce. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, this is the new model. All right, this is the 2.0 of me. Jump straight from the old one, like the bean stuff and EB, PNG and stuff. It's normal. Yeah, I know. Definitely kind of normal, but it is what it is. But yeah, welcome, Sena. How are you doing today? I know all time because I'm very nervous about introducing this model. Use new model, this new body, whatever people call it. I like it, but I don't know if people like it. So yeah, this is the head part. My head, my eye can go like this, and with the smack. mm, Eye tracking is kind of scuff because I'm using glasses and I'm not using an iPhone camera, not the fancy stuff. I'm using just a webcam, so the eye tracking is kind of, you know, broken. If I have an iPhone, probably, it's better, but yeah. Is the hat. I forgot I have the headband here. This body has been put through the ringer, with different skin color, the stickers here and there. Oh, yeah, simple assassin outfit with, you know, very light, very mobile. You can go anywhere without being hindered by the clothes. Very easy. No heels, just boots. Very good. This very normal. Okay, good, 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 good. Nothing seems broken yet. Okay. Facial expression toggles, the hard eyes. I call this the horny toggle and stuff. And number two, the crying. Ah, yeah. Bunny headband with the very cute bunny thingy here. That bunny, I guess. The bunny ear toggle, the bunny ear also is redeem. So yeah, people could just redeem it if they want to see the bunny ears. I also appropriately name it Banui. Banui. Ui. I guess the also VTube Studio is kind of racist. uh, because I'm half Chinese, alright, and my eyes is not as what eyes do, not as wide open as those like uh, what's it called again? Like Neo, yeah, like those Westerners with those white eyes, you know, those big eyes, big ego and stuff. But yeah, I think this one's the Banai. Okay, this one's the glasses. With this, you cannot really see the scarf eyes tracking, which are probably gonna be the default. Even with these glasses, you can see through it, like with what's happening behind it with the crazy eye stuff. The mouth tracking is alright as well. The eyeball tracking is pretty hard. Yeah. But yeah, the glasses. I think the number 5 is personally is like now personal touch. My very own weapon. I don't know what it's called. It's either sniper rifle or a rifle. But yeah, you can say both, I guess. Hmm. That's it for the toggle. Personally, I'm pretty involved with this model. The emotes are coming, but not done yet. I just want to say that probably I'm not probably I'm trying to stream more, but it's just hard with my low motivation to stream. And you know, low motivation stream isn't really good. When I use the glasses, I can't stand seeing my eyes goes crazy like yeah. When I use the glasses, so you you people didn't see my eyes going crazy because I myself is already crazy enough. Yeah, yeah. I don't have any more toggle. I can technically ask for more. It's just that I feel bad if ask for more toggle, you know. So yeah, we are going to wait. We are going um with these few toggles for now. For now, if I feel like I want to do more stream in the future, probably I'm going to ask for more toggles and stuff. Right now though, nah, I don't have any plan. We are you guys are gonna stuck with this model for a while. Yeah, deal with it, bro. Deal with it. Nothing you can do. Okay, so also fix some stuff from like the broken stuff from previous stream. Like should be the chat comment should be fixed, I think. What else? The Twitch integrated throwing system should be working now. Yeah, I guess we just need to wait for the my new emotes. That's the last bit. I also plan on adding a new emote as well, like free from this model creator, and I'm planning on commissioning uh, n- another emote as well. Just didn't have the money for now. I've been purchasing like top up for games. Ah, might as well show you guys where the money goes, I guess. Oh, also I need to check my other overlays, other scene. Oh, it works okay. I mean, need to fix it, but yeah, that's all for introducing the new model. Now let's play some casual games. Also, just a reminder, this stream isn't gonna be long, like at least only an hour or maybe more, just a bit more. This is technically a test stream. Test like everything that I added is not broken and stuff. The correct one. It does not show.
こんばんは。深夜に食べるアイスはまた格別なものです。あとワンカップ残っています。ご一緒にどうでしょうか。
Game sound automatic. Oh, sounds fun. Capturing. What captured? What the? Be the right one. For Pacific
もしかしてスイーツを持ってきて。
hold up. I wonder why it doesn't really capture the game. Doesn't want to be. Okay, I guess there's another way we can do it. I guess that's the last way we can do. Yeah, yep, this game. I spent quite a lot of money on this game. Like, quite a lot.
やるじゃないか若造。私の仲間に加わらないか。
困っている人のお役に立てるなら。そろそろ研究始めるってフェイが言ってる。
戦闘タスクの用意をするわ。
いつでもいいよ。準備はいい？私の歌声についてきてね。このマスクは何があっても私困ってそろそろ研究。
何を考えてし。
But yeah, I usually just play the challenge and escort. I really enjoy the game mode of escort. So unless they will bring it to rank, I probably won't touch rank. Because you see, it's only demolition. I don't really enjoy demolition in this game. Not really enjoyable for me, so yeah. I feel like this hairstyle is out of place. Meanwhile, this style isn't really suit to this character.
安全な場所が必要なら任せてくれ。
But yeah, these tactical skills only works in other game mode other than escort. So,
戦場でも日常でも安全な場所が必要なら任せてくれ。
I also play Wild Assault, which is pretty fun. I'm just waiting for the skin for Akai Hime.
选择角色，守护最珍贵的事物吧。
What the fuck? Oh god damn it, it's ranked. I accidentally pressed rank. Alright, bro. Yeah, I didn't check it again. Fine, I don't know what's good on this map and stuff. Let's deal with this one, I think.
勝利で地盤をしっかり固める。永遠に倒れないビルを築き上げるんだ。
Damn, I forgot to check it again. I'm no choosing the right mode and I choose the ranked one. Damn it, bro. Alright. First off, are people buying? I don't know. Let's take it with.
演出马上就要开始了，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1 ，Go！ 要守護好陣地啊！電脳ブロック挫折。おいで、最高の相棒。敵はもう優勝だ。炸弹携带者被击倒了，炸弹携带者被击倒了。最高の相棒。
Ah, damn it.
隠れられる場所はいつでも施工できるぞ。誰か手を貸して。
Oh,
今月業績
sure. I mean, we're still winning, but
被击倒了。一撃も耐えられない。
hey, look at the damage, bro. Look at the damage. Oh. Yeah. Feels good, brother. I don't know, probably this then.
いつも通りやればいいんだよね。
Or you got stuck in there. That's silly. Is that the
演
Schrodinger
出马上
cat?
就要开始了，
That's probably the
各位
Schrodinger
准
cat.
备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，各位要守护好阵
Ah,
地啊！
shit.
電脳ブロック羅刹。
Ah, damn. Damn, they got the armors and stuff. Need to change up my playstyle from the escort. Damn. Alright,
这
last
就
one.
是最后的希望了。只要信念不倒，
Bruh,
一切就
what
还
you
有希
shooting
望。
at? What you shooting at? The Caesars. The master of Caesars. Probably should flashbang them first, then get out.
各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，各位要守护好阵地啊！
本気で行くよ。電脳ブロック羅刹。
Okay, that's clear.
上がった。
Bro, they're all mid.
電脳ブロック羅刹。
炸弹安装完毕，即将为公园增添最璀璨的色彩。
Shit, bro. Oh, man. Sure.
演出马上就要开始啦，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，各位要守护好阵地啊！
電脳ブロック羅刹。グレネード。
炸弹携带者被击倒了，
Sure.
ゴーグルはしないと目
Let's
が
flash
や
this
ら
one.
れるぞ。
Damn. Come on, calm down.
对面的舞台上是在独唱了呢。各位成功的守护了很多东西呢。
生けることが全ての基礎。
I don't know about
よ
this
し
one.
仕事開始。
Probably this
ご
one
安
though.
全に。
演出马上就要开始啦，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，各位要守护好阵地啊！
電 電脳ブロック
Oh shit.
今の私は炎の熱風だ。ゴーグルをしないと目がやられるぞ。敵に命中している。
敵を倒しました。
致命傷を与えた。危険分子を取り寄せ、私の車線に入り、いつでも施工できるぞ。敵はもう重傷だ。強い一戦、団結はいい。
Oh, did I get stuck on something?
3度目はないって言ったらね。
炸弹携带者被击倒，各位成功的守护了很多东西呢。
現場の整理がどれだけ大変かわからないのか。
Bruh. Oh, there comes the ad.
後で一緒に海岸へ行ってカモメにご飯をあげに行きませんか？演出马上就要开始了，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，Go！要守护
So I
好
don't know
阵
if
地。
I'm gonna keep on streaming on 30 FPS.
数名の敵を本気で行くよ。敵に命中して、敵はもう重傷だ。一人撃破した。私の車線に入ってくるから。
炸弹携带者被击倒了，
致命傷を与えた。危険分子を取り寄せ。団結はいい。ただその使い方を間違えている。
对面的舞台上只剩
3度目は
下独唱了
ないって。言ったら。
各位成功的守护了很
できること
多东西了。
が全ての基礎になるんだ。
Let's go rescue one teammate. Okay, let's go with this one.
いつも通りすればいいんだよね。
演出马上就要开始了，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1，Go！要守护好阵地啊！
Okay.
敵を受ける。電脳ブロック螺旋。ゴーグルはしないと目がやられるぞ。いつでも施工できるぞ。
飛ぶけどこうか。ご無事ですか？
Oh shit.
最高の相棒。
敵を攻撃した。
Bro.
炸弹携带者被击倒了。
Turn off the fucking bubble, bro. What the
是
fuck?
不是比任何时候都更加耀眼呢？上半场最后的表演了，
Cannot see shit in that one, bro.
继续前进吧。
Oh my god, bro.
パフォーマンスに影響しないといいのですが。
Oh, fucking silly, bro.
演出马上就要开始了，各位准备好了吗？5、4、3、2、1。
Of course, it's the first time you say it, bro. This is new. Also, hello, Bobby.
最高の相棒。遠くに敵の気配。
後ろに敵がい
Of
る。
course, it is.
グレネー
I only talk in sense, brother.
ド。電脳ブロック螺旋。よし。あとし。危険分子を取り寄せる。
Also, welcome. How you doing today, Bobby?
いつでも施工できるぞ。
这就是最后的希望
電
了。
脳ブロック。
炸弹携带者被击倒了。
Fuck. Okay. Bobby. I'm doing
攻守护
kind of well. Military, but resting is nice. It's wicked. Nice to hear it. For me though, it's already on Sunday, so tomorrow I'm going back to work. Yay! Fun.
悪人
Yeah, I'm doing well as
私を
well.
評する資格は死は闇の中に潜んでいる
Yay! I knew you would. Put this one here. So that's the bomb or the spike or whatever it is.
私の指示に
演
従い
出马上就要开始了，
勝手に動く
各位准备好了吗？5、
進みましょう。
4、3、2、1，保护好
Yeah,
炸弹
hope
携
you
带
have
者，
a nice weekend,
上未
Bobby.
知的舞台吧。
Oh shit, bruh. Damn, that's crazy.
砕け散った
Wait, another at that? Wow, fucking fast.
炸弹携带者被击倒了。
覚えたぞ
私は温室育ちじゃありません。大丈夫。私がいますから。
I guess I need to
右側から攻撃してくる。
fix my at thingy as well.
只
Yeah.
要信念不倒，奇迹就还有希望。
終わっていないの。
Tiring, I work yesterday more than any other week. Damn. That sucks though. And any other weekday this time around. Now I'm taking the rest. Half of tomorrow. Take the time to rest. Yes. Fuck it and then.
演出马上就要开始了。
Yeah, I need to configure my ads again.
5、
I think the setting changed again, if I remember correctly.
2、1，
But
保护
yeah.
好炸弹携带者，
発動。
登上未知的舞台吧。
煙幕弾使用。配置完了です。
煙幕弾前から攻撃が来てるぞ死神が来たぞ魂が消え去る
炸弹携带者
我が
被击倒了。
ものとなるしっかりと標的を撃破魂が
这就是最后的希望了。
Damn, bro. Where's the rest of my teammates? They're all dead. Oh, welcome back from the ads, I guess.
只要信念不倒，一切就还有希望。
終わっていない。
Brother, come on. I should be accuracy then. Queue up on the wrong game mode.
爆弾
I
の
supposed
扱
to
いは
be
心得
playing
马上就要开始了，
預かってよ
各位准备好了吗
supposed？to be playing
5、
the escort game mode,
3，
but accidentally queue ranked.
你是炸弹携带者，香奈美会祈祷你一切顺利的。
解放感たまらないな。魂が消え去る。我がものとなる。懐かしい感覚だ。死の淵に望んでいる。これは時弾丸よりも価値がある。
From Hisa. Yeah, this game is pretty fun, but I usually play the other game mode rather than this game mode.
踏み入れ冥界が呼んでいる。消え去ることなく我がものとなる。遺言の
只要
手にはでき
聚集起大家的力量，就一定能改变很多事情。
It is fun. It's just that, yeah, the people who usually play this mode is kind of petty. So unconsciously, I avoided this mode specifically. Usually play the payload mode, similar to Overwatch 1.
4、
The payload,
3、
yeah.
2、1，保护好炸弹携带者，登上未知的舞台吧。
Yeah, sadly they didn't add the payload mode into the rank stuff.
冥界が呼んでいる。死の帳よ。魂が消え去る。我がものとなる。あいつの死が近い。右側に敵がいるぞ。標的を撃破。
炸弹安装完毕，
刈り取れる。
将为公演增添最璀璨的
Oh
色彩。
shit, I didn't see my high HP.
只要聚集起大家的力量，就一定能改变很多事情。
Easy.
器は怖い。霊魂は果てしなく漂う。
Technically, this is also consists of my stream birthday, like birthday stream, but it's more of
演出马上就要
the
开始了，
introducing my 2.0 and test stream.
5、
There's a lot of the program that I use
2、
has an update and stuff.
保护好炸弹携带
And
者，
this stream
登上未知的舞台
like
吧。
consists of checking the program. Is there anything broken or something similar? So far though, I don't see anything broken. So I'm glad that it doesn't have anything like that.
我がものとなる。死神が来たぞ。これでもう飛べない。
Ah, damn. Almost. Unlucky there.
炸弹携带者被击倒了，
起こしてくれ。もらおう。その怯える玉。
这就是最后的希望了。
Yeah, like that. Same thing. Nothing to nothing, just testing again. Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Oh, what is? What is this?
信念不倒，一切
Look at my
还有希
watch.
望。終わっていないのに。
What is that? What is this game? What is that? Come on. I don't understand what is happening on that fight.
演出马上就要开始了，
哎呀，
各位准备好了吗？5、4、
is this what we call low elo game?
保护好炸弹携带者，登上未知的舞台吧。
Technically, I am unranked, so probably an low elo issue. Kind of unloading. I think so.
魂が消え去ることなく我がものとなる。スピリットリーパー。マイクの音
炸弹携带
刈り取る
者被击倒了，
標的を撃破。
What the fuck?
对面的舞台上只剩下毒体来聚集起大家的力量，这一定能改变很
That
多事
happened to
情。
me so many times of playing Apex. Yeah,
现
probably
在是关键时刻
you know, low rank issue and stuff. The usual what's happening right now. Don't know what's up with the game. The last time I hear they have like a problem with the monetization and like the balancing with the champion or heroes in that game.
演出马上就要开始
The
了，
player base also
各位，准备好了吗？
dwindling and stuff.
5、
There's so many problems in the Apex that I
2、
last time I heard.
1，保护好炸弹携带者，
Mm-hmm.
登上未知的
Almost
舞
no
台吧。
good point about Apex right now, which is kind of sad. The game is pretty fun.
敵はまだ遠い。
本気を出して。
Oh, I see that. Yeah, all right.
敵は後ろだ。
Nope. You didn't see.
消え去る。
Bye bye.
我がものとなる。
Let me eliminate you first though.
痛
Okay.
いのは
Good.
今だけだ。
Yeah, by addiction again. I mean, yeah, luckily. I mean, not that bad, but
霊界が呼んでいる。死のこれでもう飛べない。死ぬにはまだ早い。
敵の攻撃を受けています。
ah shit.
どこから
对
が
面的舞台
消え
上
去る。
只剩下独唱了呢。
我がものとなる。
Now I just open Overwatch from one addiction to another. Bruh. Also, I feel like I'm playing against
それが
bots.
あいつらの宿命だ。
I'm rolling. Easy. Just blame it on your own rolling. It's easy. I mean, it's what else you can do? It really is Rollin's fault that you got addicted to Overwatch. But yeah, I was planning to play the escort, but somehow I play rank instead. I don't understand. You can play one more. Not on this one game though. Turn off this screen because for some reason I couldn't use the game capture on my OBS to capture that game. So I need to use the display capture, which sounds crazy. That's why I need to turn off the display capture first, so on and so forth. Didn't see overdose mean break full circle. Ah yes. Ah yeah. Maybe. Maybe I didn't do that. Probably I didn't do that. That's why I couldn't. Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Oh, but yes, too. Maybe next stream I will try that. Well, Marvel Rivals last time I stream it, you can technically use the game capture. Maybe not. Maybe now you cannot do that, but previously you can. Oh yeah, I forgot about this as well. Yeah, never mind. Let's do this again. Yay, yes. Yeah. Uh, and this is the second game. Because technically this one is the harder game to run on stream. But yeah, oh yeah, sure. I mean, I forgot about that. Not like people gonna watch me play Counter like mediocre Counter Strike anyway. Major rated video game that may not be suitable for some viewer. Who fucking cares? Okay, Premiere. I need to win 25 matches to unlock my rank. Really? That's crazy. 25 matches is crazy work. It's a lot of game to won. But I thought I only need to unlock the rank. I need to win 10 match less. I saw. Okay, let's see. When the season ends, players who meet the requirement will be awarded a Premier Season medal. The color will come to higher CS ranking. The bar will reflect your total wins with 1 bar for every 25 up to 5 bars. To earn the current Premier Season medal, you need a blah 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 blah. Bruh. Alright, whatever. Let's start. So to see the season progress, I need to win 25 games. Bruh. This has 7 Deagle. This side has Nova, UMP, MP7, Bison, Mac 10, PZ Tech 9. Nope. Yarit. Alright, Bobby. No problem. Take care. Also, good luck on cleaning your house. Because I don't know how dirty your house is. I just gonna say good luck with cleaning. I see. So just occasional cleaning then. Alright. Still good luck though. The emote should be like called Zodiac 82 bobbing headers, bobbing head or bobblers, who knows? Bobblers. Ay, pa. Ah, damn. Yeah, the other one didn't manage to. Okay. Better if I play Premiere maybe. Probably no one is soloing right now. It'll take a while. What the fuck? Bro, why is it so long? Ah! Ah! Finally! I found a game! Um, oh, Nuke and Anubis has been banned. I didn't even manage to. Okay. Oh, look at that. Something wrong. Uh, sure. I mean, Waiting for opponent to pick a starting side. Probably T. They should choose T first though. Right? See? Told you, I knew it. I can read them easily, brother. Pretty easy. But yeah, let's see if I'm having fun solo queuing in Premier like in this game. Because it's been like oh, alright. I mean it's an AUK. Oh wait, they choose city first? That's weird. What the fuck? Bro? Oh. Oh wow. Oh, what is that BOB? It's crazy, bro. Oh god, no. That POV is crazy. Communication, push to talk. Push to talk, push to... where is it? I don't even know which one is mouse for. Ah, yes. Kinda missed this toxicity, alright. Oh boy. Wow. Alright. Sure. Keyboard and mouse. Press to talk. Ow. Where's the press to talk though? Use my... What? Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Ah, this one mouse 5, okay. Oh, bro. Maybe I can make it a little bit more louder. It's a little bit low, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's much better. Okay, what are you? Okay. He just molly. Oh. Waste time. Good, good, good. Just play with time. Ah! I don't think he got the kit though. He got kit? What? He got the kit? What the fuck? Oh. Oh. Nice. One city and 2A. I need to fix my crosshair first though. Where's my crosshair? Crosshair. And recoil, no. It's driving me crazy seeing that crosshair. What? Shit, buddy.
Three long. Go B, go B. Go B, go B.
Yeah. Wait, I'm going.
Whoa! Brother, I'm always the last one alive. Ah! It's making me nervous. Hello, Kirk. You want AK? I guess not.
Night ball.
One more.
Be here.
Go B, go B.
Let's go with the long run.
Go from tunnels, bro. Go from tunnels.
I'm doing fine. How about you? Also, welcome to the stream. I know it's a bit late. Two from
Coming from me.
yep. You're right. Good to hear. No AK drop. Good.
Let me.
I mean, it's my first, first game of the day, I guess. What is that, bro? Oh! Tunnel, one tunnel.
Last A. Let me shot. Okay.
Fake B.
Long.
Yeah, long.
All right. Long, just go long.
的
Right now I'm really into shooters right now. Uh, yeah, shooters. Right now probably shooters and almost any kind of game, I guess. But I play Strinova. I plan on streaming more of FPS game, like CS, I guess. Trying to get back into the groove playing the game. You play too much. It is what it is. If you enjoy the game, then it's good. It's cool, you know.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Này, này.
I also don't know what that Amethyst guy doing actually. If he's trying to call in the shots, at least help, you know. I've been hit with the ads. Oh no. Uh. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, double up. I mean, we can deal with that.
Này bố.
Okay, that's too long. To the left.
Honey.
Kara. Welcome back. Nice. Oh.
I'm holding short.
Yeah, if you have a favorite game, I can see why people will play that game. All A?
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
Last one short. My favorite game of all time. San Andreas. GTA San Andreas. Probably my favorite of all time.
I'll hold shot again.
Alright. They're smoking short. Ah, fuck. One ramp. Up behind. AWP behind. Ah, it's gone. Never mind. They got the plan. We got the AWP, so go like this. Would be good. Out. Say, asset. Both of them, A side. Yeah. Halo is also it's a classic as well. Alright. No problem. Go like this. What in the negative of all? I'm guessing that's also why you have like 500 hours in Xbox. Bruh. One of them. Usually it's only one of them, not the main one. It's better to get a. What the? Sure. Okay, if you say so. What the fuck?
Going along.
And they get me pretty near and you see this for sure. Yeah, I can see why.
One shot, one shot, one shot, one shot, one shot, one shot.
Nice game, nice game. Really, really. Playing games really just comforting. Yeah, I can see why. Yeah. Although not all games are comforting, but yeah. Oh wait, so 10 additional matches to achieve the CS rating. Okay, alright. I mean, I understand now. Okay. It's a win though. Need 10 wins. So thank you for the follow, Flub. Hello. What an ugly ass skin. I mean, this one looks slick, but a case though. It's fracture even. You know what? A case. Case. I think that's a pretty neat choice to take. I think I can sold it for a bit money. Not much, only like $4 to $5. But I can choose another one. Holy hell, okay. Do erase then. Replace on CPU. But yeah. Close this one first and quit on desktop. Yeah. Let me bring my model up real quick. I haven't shit. Okay. Oops. Oh. So thank you for the follow, Flum. I forgot if I already said thank you for the follow or not, but yeah. Okay. Also, not all games are comforting. That's true. Some of them are gonna make you stressed out. How you doing? How you people doing in chat? I know that Kirk is doing all right. How about Flum? Are you doing okay, Flum? I hope you're doing okay. This stream is just technically check out my stream setup, if there is anything broken and stuff, and then you know, show off my new model as well. This is a toggle with the eyeglasses. Sunglasses. I know the eye tracking is kind of fucked up because I didn't use an iPhone for the eye tracking, so kind of like this. Sorry about that. Thank you for the hydrate. That should start finishing. Damn. Alright, I need to set. I need to fix this as well. Let me check what's the toggle for this. My eye tracking is broken. me make it F10, I guess. F10. Forgot to toggle to disappear by its own. Everything is working well on my end. Yeah, glad to hear it. And practically it's kind of my comeback stream. It's been like what, 3 to 4 months, I think. But yeah, here is my new model. The full of review he had. You can see very kissable lips. I mean, I don't have lips, but yeah. Also, technically, the concept is a crazed undead. So my eyes is, kind of on point, I guess. And I have the crying toggle, like so. And then, oh, I can combine it like this. Oh, that's like a forbidden combination of a toggle. Whoops. Remind me not to combine this toggle and with this toggle, huh? And then I have this horny toggle, I guess you could call it. The glasses. Hello, Tactical. The sunglasses. This is practically like a sniper scope, the crosshair and stuff. Very good on hiding my horrible eye tracker. Okay, and then my partner, the I guess semi-auto rifle, you could call it. Not full-on sniper rifle, it's semi-auto. And the bunny ear. Pretty simple. Not too crazy. The toggles is not much, but it's there. How you doing, Tactical? How are you doing? Also, look at this bunny. Aren't it cute? So cute. I love it. You be good? How I
だから
be?
本当にめちゃくちゃ多様性があるんですよね。まずメガネをかけてる
Oh no.
女の子がメガネを外して美少女だったりとか、逆にメガネをかけてニコニコして見てる主人公のメガネを奪ってつけてる女子が奪っちゃったぞみたいな影で、それもすごく可愛いんですよね。あとメガネ同士もね、メガネが怪しげで光ったり逆光してる姿とかもいいですし、もうかっこいいから可愛いもの、そしてギャグまで使いこなせるっていうのがめちゃめちゃいいんですよ。もうね、シチュエーションでも多様性できるところがめちゃめちゃいいんですよ。立ったような形とかいるとかも、そのキレに合ったメガネを着せ替えて楽し
That's
むの
very
が
loud.
本当に楽しいです。もうアンダーリムとかね、ちょっと縁が太いやつとかね、本当にもうバイキングのようにめちゃめ
And
ちゃ
I'm
楽しめ
gonna
るんですよね。
explain
ルナさんに
like
かけてみたり、
why I
相場に
designed
も
these
ガンガンしてメガネ
sunglasses
か
like
けてみた
this.
りとか、もうホロライブメガネはマジで流行ってほしいし、ホロコミに出すべきだし、ぜひね、公式からみんなにメガネを付与してほしいと思わないかな。
Okay, that's done. Alright, so if you heard that sound just now, that's my mix syrup. That's react to the word glasses. So if you type glasses in, that sound will play. If you ask where that sound came from, that's from a VTuber group called Hololive. And a VTuber called Fubuki. That sound is from one of her stream talking about her fetish on glasses. Following me, Ra? You know, uh, you get me? So here's the thing. She's planning on making all the other member of Hololive into having a glasses toggle. And that's the whole meme. Fubuki ranting about her fetish on glasses girls. That's it. That's a funny thing. And yeah, on why my glasses, the sunglasses here, shaped like a sniper scope. I mean, like, you know, the FPS game sniper scope have this kind of crosshair. Because I mainly use sniper in like shooter game that have like a zoom feature. So I designed it like this. Also, if you didn't see my eyes, there also technically is a crosshair. See? The same as my glasses. Sunglasses, I mean. Just the difference is my eyes is made like heterochromia. I mean, in real life, I don't have heterochromia, but I just like the concept of heterochromia. You know, different eye color looks cool and stuff and stuff. But yeah. And if you're curious about who's I commissioned this model to, even I think it's called Laraine. Right, let me her name. Laraine. Yeah. Let me shout out.
22nd. I was
Oops.
on their wait.
Laraine.
They reopened this commission in August.
Who played that? Laraine. Not T. Alright, that's with E as well. Yeah. So, not Laraine. How you shout out? Yeah. This is my the one who made this model. I commissioned her for about I think around 600 euros for the like for my rigger. It's why are they so hard to pronounce, bro? Do that. Please. Let me copy the name. Should shit. All right. But yeah, the other one is
Low battery. Discharge.
so that my rigger is that channel. Okay. So in total, I think I almost spent like 900 euros in total, which is a lot. But yeah, if you see the detail, the quality and stuff,
Low battery.
their
Discharge.
overall as a person and stuff, yeah, I can definitely say that they're worth the price. So yeah, don't forget to check them out. I need to wait for like around a little bit more to do another shout out because it's on cooldown. Like this is so silly. Why is there a cooldown for shout out? But here we are. There is cooldown for shout outs. So can we do it another shout out? There we go. This is the
Low
rigger.
battery. Discharge.
Both of them are also friends, so technically you can just I guess you could say you commission the artist first, and then ask the artist for the rigger.
Low battery. Discharge.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's kind of silly, but I kind of understand. On the other hand, it's still stupid. On the other hand, I kind of understand why they implemented it. Yeah, I miss streaming actually. So expect me to maybe stream like more frequently. I don't know. I didn't promise anything, but I do want to stream more. Generally on the FPS genre now. Kind of
Low battery.
burnout on the
Discharge.
kind of burnout on the single player game. So I'm probably gonna play more multiplayer game like FPSs. Maybe play Trackpunk maybe or God Eater. I don't know. Either way, just
Discharge.
I want to stream more. Okay, it's just that I cannot promise there will be like frequent stream.
What the fuck だよ。
Yeah, I mean, I kind of my motivation
Low
for
battery.
streaming
Discharge.
like for the last few months kind of just like diving down into the deep trenches of the sea. So I'm just like uh slowly but surely you know reeling it in, like reeling it back. So I got the motivation to stream more.
Low battery.
Maybe
Discharge.
gonna, I got the YouTube channel as well. I used to make a playthrough, not playthrough, like I'm still play like Honkai Star Rail and stuff, gacha games. Yeah, I know gacha games, very predatory type of games. But I used to record a series for Honkai Star Rail, like challenges like with one element and stuff. Oh yeah, I do got like a YouTube channel. It's just that it's pretty dead right now. No new uploads like for already a year, I think. Uh, I also got a TikTok account with the
Low
same name.
battery.
So if
Discharge.
you want to search me up, it's easy. Just search like my name on TikTok. You'll find me. I almost like active on all platform. Just that I usually use TikTok more. So sometimes I just like when I didn't stream, I only play games. I got clips of me shooting like got like insane hits or insane pulls. I just like um clip it and post it on TikTok cause I just you know it's a lazy way of me at least posting something on TikTok. But yeah,
Discharge.
I plan on I don't know maybe making a series again. But this is a long but. I just don't know what game I should do a series on. I usually play gacha games. Back again, gacha games, shooter games
Discharge.
like Marvel Rivals, Wild Assaults, yeah, Wild Assaults, World War 3, and so on and so forth. Strinova. I played this kind of games like you know shooter genre. Just that
Discharge.
I don't think like hitting instant shots or clips of funny chat in game. Does it anymore on YouTube? Like a compilation of it, like you know. Actually, I just download what's an FPS games that you haven't played that you want to play sometime in the future. So today I just download Fragpunk. Fragpunk I saw like has a pretty cool concept, like a shooter with like a card mechanic, like roguelike mechanic, and the character design is also pretty
Please
catchy,
charge.
which I like. It's just that I haven't like tried it off stream yet, you know. I saw like people making a video of it, like it's pretty unique using cards as a mechanic, as a roguelike stuff, you know.
Please charge.
And then I think I'm gonna stream Farlight as well. I have like a few shooter games that I played. It's just that I don't know if people gonna be like interested on me streaming other type of shooter game like Rainbow Six Siege. I also have
Low
that
battery.
downloaded.
Please charge.
But guitar and wait, what? I don't know the developer, but I know that it's decent. Also, I don't see the NetEase. I think NetEase just like has a has an ownership on Bad Guitar Studio,
Low
cause
battery. Please charge.
I saw that the publisher is the Bad Guitar Studio, so yeah. I don't think NetEase is publishing this game. I don't see, and probably they remove it, but I don't know. If the NetEase isn't the publisher, then I'm fine. Like it's cool, you know. Cause NetEase
Low
name is
battery.
pretty
Please
bad.
charge.
Or if you're talking about Farlight games, it's Farlight 84, yeah. Yeah, I also heard like Farlight 84 has a massive fall down fallout. I don't know what it's called, but like
Please charge.
use like from the 1.0 to now, it has like a downtrend. Like they keep on losing player. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. I guess they lost direction with the game. So yeah, the player base keeps on dwindling on Farlight 84.
Please charge.
Then I also have Drive Beyond Horizons. It's a driving game,
Selected.
like driving through the desert and stuff, playing as a car mechanic and stuff. I guess I don't know. I don't know what type of game is this, but it's kind of chill, like Drive Beyond Horizon. And then
Please charge.
I used to stream Idol Showdown, Killing Floor 2. Forza Horizon? Drive Beyond Horizon. Not Forza Horizon. Drive Beyond Horizons.
Please charge.
It's a main gameplay is driving, but I think it's more on the car collecting part. It's alright. Not your fault. It's my fault, speaking non-clear English.
Low battery.
I snooze
Please
that.
charge.
And then I got some horror games like Hollow 8. And then fighting game like Idol Showdown, which is like fan game of the group Hololive that I talked talked previously.
Discharge.
Killing Floor. Yeah, I heard they making a third game, but if you saw their track record with Killing Floor 2, yeah, I don't think we can have very high hope for the game.
Low. Discharge.
Like, really, cannot really have high hope for the game, which is kind of sad. It has great concept, poor execution. So yeah, and then we got Marvel Rivals. I love the game. It's just that kind of
Please
kind
charge.
of got bored with the game for months, I think. Just got back like last week. So there is that. And then Overwatch 2 also I just got back last week.
Low battery. Please charge.
I do also plan on the FPS game that are catching my eyes are Delta Force. Oh yeah, Delta Force is also like very interesting game. Like I know I know it's technically a mobile game, but it's also pretty good. Is it Delta Force or oh yeah, it's Steam Studio Group, so technically it's a mobile game. It's just that I think the port into the PC is pretty bad. Yeah, the port to PC is pretty bad. Apparently there is a lot of cheater. Oh yeah, there's that. It's kind of sad, but kind of hard to deal with cheaters, in popular game. Like in Valorant, for example, even though they are perma banning people accounts and hardware and stuff, they can technically just bypass it with I don't know. I don't know how they bypass it, but Valorant still has like a lot of cheaters. Yeah, they want to perfect the PC port first, cause right now the PC port is the most broken one. The mobile one is technically no cheater. It's just that there is some player that use mouse and keyboard on the mobile front, so yikes. Using the extension stuff, from USB-C to USB-A, to detect the mouse and keyboard. So yeah, Data Force is pretty good from what I watch, read, kind of stuff. So many games. I just don't have the motivation to play them all. Ah, yeah, COD Mobile definitely has same problem because it's a popular mobile game, so people want to play with advantages and stuff. You know the drill. Mm, yeah, I don't think there is any more first-person shooter that I want to play, or at least that I downloaded right now. Mm. Yeah, like I said previously again, I think Timmy is a subsidiary company for Tencent, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that's the studio if you want to like technically quote unquote port PC games into mobile, they go through like Tencent, and then Tencent use Timi, because technically Timi has like the code for stuff. Oh, look at that. A new hero on Apex. Name Prodigy. Wow. Very creative. Prodigy. Yeah. Asset an internal studio of Tencent. Any other game that I technically want to play? Don't think there is anything more for now. Yeah, probably gonna be focusing on a few games. At least for now. The finals, Trinova. What is it? Sometimes Fragpunk and Wild Assault. Yeah, I guess that's I'm gonna make them like my main game, and my rivals probably sometimes, not always. The shooters like Marvels in a horror shooter, whatever. It's shooters. Don't care. Yeah, Apex is the last time I played. I so hate the characters in Apex. I cannot get a single freak fucking kill or elimination on Apex. I played like 10 games. I get 0 eliminations. I'm so fucking bad. Either I'm so fucking bad or the game is bad. Either the two. There's no in between. But yeah, I don't really like Apex. The last time I played Apex is because Bloodhound. That's it. TDM and Domination. I know TDM is still like a popular game mode on Apex. Just that nah, the abilities on Apex characters are just no. It's so iffy. Maybe R6. I funny story about R6. I played when pixel picking is very popular. And I hate pixel picking. No responding to the after the very good track. Yeah, but uh, I guess it's the case of like the game dragging the studio's name into the ground kind of situation right now. Is sad, but it is what it is. I also have Path of Exile that I haven't played yet. Dark Souls Remastered that I have, but I haven't played it also. I just wish EA would just let them be. ah, ah, man. Oh man. How people wish upon the star that EA does that. But nope. Of course they're gonna destroy Apex for the money. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yes. For maybe like the next few streams, either I gonna be streaming shooters or gacha games. Yeah. It is after all. You cannot deny that. But yeah, so shooters, for example, like hero shooters, third-person shooters, first-person shooters, those kind of games I also played. Hero shooters also played. And probably gacha games like Honkai Star Rail I still play it. It's just that I haven't been really pulling any characters. Wuthering Waves I also maybe wait for the next implementation of the story. So it is still popular, but it's at least it's not like really filled with like previously like R6 is so popular that every lobby has a cheater and a cheater or two. But now at least like I played 3 rounds or 4. They don't have cheater, which is an improvement. Thumbs up from my right hand, yay, which is good. And they are getting rid of pixel picking, which is finally I hate that R6 previously have that. I cannot for the life of me counter that pixel picking. I hate that mechanic, quote unquote mechanic that they keep in right now. But right now it's in a good place for R6. The hero feels good. The characters with the abilities feels good. Gadgets feels alright. Gunplay is also good. Yeah. I think that's all for today's stream. I was planning on streaming like only 1 hour or so, but because of the queue time and then some of the game are taking longer than I thought, it became like 2 hour stream. Anyway, if you guys haven't dropped a follow, don't forget. Hey, if you want to talk to me again, don't forget to drop a follow. Yeah, forgive me for promoting myself, but yeah, don't forget to leave a follow if you want, follow my stream and such. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube as well, I mean, it's kind of dead right now. The same name, you can search it up. I know you guys use YouTube, so you can do the search thingy, the TikTok as well. Already followed. Yeah, I'm talking about the people who haven't followed. I just reminded them. I would not force someone to follow me, all right? I'm just reminding them if they want to follow, don't forget to click it. Remember when then you probably change the name. Change your name from I don't remember what previously, but yeah. But whatever. But yeah, so I think today tactical and someone called Flum, okay? But yeah, thank you for the follow. Yay! Feels nice. The token with the hey! I'm happy to hear that. But yeah, before this ad starts, I'm gonna end the stream right now. I don't think there is anyone on. Check. I can just straight then get out from. You know what? There is a VTuber that I follow. It is streaming right now. What he's playing, bro? Yeah, he's playing Rogue Legacy right now. Okay, so I'm gonna rate him, rate to him. Uh, oh, okay, let's go raid out. Yay! So people, thank you guys for what coming to today's stream. I know you guys go at least what I thought you guys enjoyed my stream, but yeah, we're gonna rate out to Sayo Kaisuri. Person. Okay, the Nets is back, so I need to quick uh
Full battery. Please charge.
but yeah, I'm gonna put the message out, refresh the stream. If you want to follow the rate, yeah, we're gonna
Full
rate
battery.
Sayo.
Please charge.
Thank you guys for coming to the stream. There is no rate message right now. I need to come up with one since forever, but I haven't thought of anything. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys next stream. Bye bye.